What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Celtics Daily Channel with me, Mike Zakarian. I hope everybody had a great weekend. Happy Monday. The weather was good. My ass was back in Massachusetts. Got to see some family. Got to go outside. You know who needs to go outside? Jaylen Brown and Stephen A. Smith. We got to get them outside. Or they're living outside. We can do. We'll talk about it. Some more chaos from over the weekend. Then our guy Adam Taylor, which if you're not subscribed to the Celtics Chronicles, highly recommend. Highly recommend. We're gonna go over some potential free agent guards. We're gonna do all this stuff. Get into some of your comments as we always do, which is a great segue, a great reminder. If it's your first time here, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. If it's not your first time here, you should still be subscribing to the channel. It helps. It helps. Like the video, hype the video, get involved in the comments, all that sweet stuff. And then also, shout out to our friends over there at Kalshi for continuing to sponsor and shout out the Celtics Daily. We love to see it. If you use our code, FanArchBasketball, you'll get $10 when you trade 10. So go ahead, fire it up. We'll talk about it a little bit more when we get later into the show. So let's get going. All right, let's get going. It looked like it was a spicy weekend on the Twitch. JB and Stephen A continue to go at it. I can't believe that's like statements that we're saying. But there were a couple of things about it that I found to be interesting. And so Jaylen Brown, first of all, comedian Jaylen Brown on Twitch said, he basically told Stephen, he was like, F Stephen A. I believe he said F Stephen A, F Stephen B, and F Stephen C, which I can't tell if that's a banger or not. Like, do we like that? I can't tell. As I said it out, I thought it was corny, and then as I said it out loud to you, I was like, honestly, that kind of slaps. So maybe we're team that. But they're just continuing to go back and forth of like Jaylen Brown saying like, hey man, if you want me to be quiet, you be quiet, whatever. The one thing that I thought was kind of interesting though, so Stephen A. Smith basically said, Jason Tatum came on First Take before he came on a Twitch stream, which is like, who cares? I mean, those when you go on those ESPN shows, that's so orchestrated, right? Usually you're plugging something, you're going through the ESPN car wash, whatever they call it, right? There's usually a purpose for you doing that. But Jaylen Brown said something interesting where he said that he was just it was supposed to be in defense of Jason Tatum, and I do think it was. But he was like, JT's just more comfortable in a controlled environment, meaning like those ESPN segments. Everybody knows what you're going to talk about. You know what the topics are. You know who's going to say what, when, and then you go on to the next thing, right? Or in a Twitch stream or a YouTube stream or wherever you're streaming, it's a little bit more organic, authentic. You kind of, I don't know. I think the appeal to some of it is it's not as orchestrated. It could go anywhere. I just thought that the phrasing was a little interesting to say that he felt more comfortable in a controlled environment. And again, you know what I'm realizing as I'm discussing this? We are at a point where, like, if you've ever been like dating somebody or you're interested in someone and they send you a text message or like an email or whatever, that's just kind of like, hey, sounds good. See you then. And you're out there breaking down the punctuation. Like, why did they use a period there instead of no exclamation points? Are they not into me? Are they not into me? And you start breaking it down like that. That is what this is starting to feel like. We're like, why did he say the word controlled environment? Why did he say that phrase? What does he mean by that? Does he mean that Boston is a more controlled environment for Jason Tatum and that an uncontrolled environment would be somebody else for Jaylen Brown? Is he saying he wants to leave? Feels like we're doing a lot of that right now. I'm excited for this to reach some sort of conclusion. Let me be super, super clear. I am Team JB when it comes to F. Stephen A. Smith. I'm done. I am done with that garbage. Anybody that's saying like, ooh, maybe I run for president, I'm not interested in. In this societal climate, if you are someone that thinks you should run for president, that's a red flag. That's anybody that thinks they should be doing that job, red flag. So anyways, I don't know. I forget Stephen A. Smith, but I thought it was interesting that they were going back and forth. No real developments in the future of Jaylen Brown. I think, I guess if you had gun to head, for lack of a better phrase, I would just assume that he's still on the Celtics next year and that we see more moves around the edges, whether it's a Sammy Hauser kid or something like that. I don't know. That's kind of where I land right now. Maybe it's just because the dust is settled a little bit, right? As we're recording this, it's May 18th. I imagine now that we saw both the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Detroit Pistons get eliminated, that there are other two teams that feel like they are close Minnesota maybe a little bit further away, even though they have Anthony Edwards. They're in the Western Conference, but Cade Cunningham and the Pistons clearly just like a game away from making it to the conference finals. They have a lot of young assets, so like now all of a sudden somebody else could enter the chat into not even necessarily going after somebody like Jaylen Brown, although he would make a ton of sense in Detroit, but just like in the Giannis sweepstakes, in the Utah Jazz sweepstakes, right? Like all of a sudden, some more teams have entered the chat. And I think as we get closer to the draft and GMs and owners get a little bit more trigger happy to make a move, we might start seeing some more movement. But I do think like Giannis is going to be the linchpin of it all. We're going to have to wait until like that will be the first domino. Like Giannis moves or doesn't move, either way, then everybody else is going to start making moves, because I think that is going to be considered the prized possession, the asset that everybody's after, unless it's moving up in the draft. So no one wants to like use their ammo yet. No one wants to put their chips in if they don't know where Giannis is going. And then once Giannis is going, they're like, okay, now we can start allocating some assets to go get some other pieces. So I do think it'll be a little bit quiet until we get to the draft. And then once the draft ramps up, I think we'll start seeing some movement, whether it is a big splash by Brad. I just keep leaning like that press conference was just, and maybe we just talked to Brad too soon after the loss to the 76ers, and that he was just too ramped up, and he was like, oh, we gotta make some changes. Maybe it's that. But it does, and so that he calms down, not calms down, but you know what I'm saying? Like it was a hot topic moment. But maybe now with some time, that the moves feel a little less drastic. I don't know. I don't really know. We'll have to wait and see. I wanted to get into, again, I mentioned Adam Taylor. He listed some potential free agent guard targets for the Celtics. And again, I want to stress, go subscribe to the Celtics Chronicle newsletter over on his Substack. Adam Taylor's a great follow. But he mentioned here's like the Celtics stand in terms of where we talked about the trade the trade player exception and the mid-level exception, right? And this is, again, according to Spotrac and according to our guy, our Adam Taylor. So we have the non-taxpayer mid-level exception. So that's $15 million. You get the Georges Yang trade player exception. That's 8.2. Simons 27.6. Boucher 2.2. Minot 2.3. And Xavier Tillman 2.5. So that gives you a little bit of wiggle room here to go after some of these names. And again, we mentioned some of these guys last week, but just a little bit more of a deep dive. I'm curious if anybody gets a little bit more excited about some of these, and Kobe White being the name that continues to get thrown out there. Kobe White, an absolute chucker, right? We saw him maybe not reach full Kobe White Heat potential with the Charlotte Hornets, because when he was traded from Chicago to Charlotte, he was dealing with I think it was a calf or a knee. And what ended up happening is actually Charlotte had to throw in another, I believe, second-round pick, because they were they weren't maybe they discovered a more serious injury with Kobe White, so they were really limiting his minutes down the stretch. But Kobe White ends up coming off the bench for Charlotte, and then we saw it in the play-in, right? Like, just could go on an absolute heater, flamethrower of a shooter at times, really good playmaker, obviously not like the best defender, but Kobe White, I think, is a really fun name. We just saw what Ayo Dosunmu did for Minnesota after being traded from Chicago, and I do think Kobe White has, like, you know, different guards, of course. Kobe more score-first guy, but again, we saw how Brad and Joe used Anthony Simons when he came over, and I think you'd be able to use Kobe White in a similar world. Adam went on to say, I could see a world where Boston goes with Kobe White as the primary guard spot and moves Derek White into an off-ball role, which I do think, again, when we think about how Derek White's three-point shot just dwindled this past season. Maybe it's because of some of the responsibilities he was having to take on ball. And then speaking of Ayo Dosunmu, he's another one, right? He's another one, a little bit younger too. And we saw him move to Minnesota. He's still available. I believe he's an unrestricted free agent at this point. The three-point shot's kind of all over the place, but he's a very athletic guard, rangy guy who can attack the rim, create offense on his own, decent playmaker as well. I think Ayo Dosunmu is a little bit fun. I do think, though, because of how he performed with Minnesota, I also think Minnesota liked him, that he could require a little bit more of that sweet, sweet cash. But I think both of those guys are names to pay attention to, which goes to show you how dumb Chicago is, right? Because both of those guys were traded for basically peanuts, with Ayo to Minnesota and Chicago sending Kobe to Charlotte, right? And now both of those guys are saying, like, oh, those are like some pretty good free agent guards that we can get out there. So it is kind of wild that they weren't able to get more. Then there's Quentin Grimes for Philly. We got a good look at him in the postseason. Philly's kind of got a glutton of guards, right? A gluttony? Glutton. They got a lot of guards with VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey right now. Grimes was on a really, was it not arbitration? What's the word when they, oh man, it's early on a Monday. Bear with me. Whatever the word is where they just sign they just stay for 1 extra year instead of tender to, oh, whatever. Who cares? He's got free range to go wherever he wants. I have no idea what the price point is going to look like for Quentin Grimes. I do think he's another one in that Anthony Simons cut, can come in instant offense. I think a lower ceiling than Simons, but we did see when VJ missed some time and Maxey missed some time, and then when Paul George was out forever, Grimes really stepped in. Okay, now. Another name that he threw out there was Anthony Simons. Of course, we've seen everybody in the Celtics community, whether you are someone that has a podcast, writes for a website, or just likes to tweet stuff out. Everybody wants Simons back. I think that's probably the most likely one to get here. I really like Anthony Simons. I've had some. I thought the field maybe was a little too spicy on Simons, but I really like him, and I think he really liked playing in Boston. It seems like everybody liked having him here. I think that's if I had to bet on a guard to come back over here that's not like the splashiest of splashes, it would be Anthony Simons. Adam Taylor had one more name on the list, and it was another Chicago Bulls guard in Colin Sexton. I'm just saying I'm good. I'm good. I'd rather, if you're going to go do that. And you know what's crazy? Colin Sexton, Anthony Simons, Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu. That's like 4 of the 5 names, right? Those are all the names except for Quentin Grimes that we said, right? Is that correct? All of them spent time on the Chicago Bulls this past season except for Quentin Grimes. What the hell is Chicago doing? What are they doing? But anyways, curious, anybody on that list tickle your fancy outside of Simons? I know you all want Simons, but outside of Simons, let me know if there's anybody else there. We're going to get into some of your comments from over the weekend, but before we do that, let's shout out our friends over at Calcio one more time. I'm going to get you a Zakarian special here, a Celtics Daily special, because tonight we have game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. We have Wembanyama against the Alien. No, Wemby is the Alien, against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And right now, I think, is this to win? Is this tonight or the series? Because right now, I think this is the series. Yes, to win the series. Okay, ready? So we're going to use our code FANARCHBASKETBALL because we're going to get $10 to $10. You get you trade 10, you get 10 back. Okay, and this is what I think we could do right now. Game 1 is tonight between San Antonio and OKC. Right now, like 70% of the field is predicting that OKC wins the series. Why can't, like, the Spurs dominated the Thunder throughout the regular season, right? 3-1 in their 4 games. Beat him in the cup? I don't know, man. You 10 to win 40? 10 to win 40? I like it. So I'm going to go mess around with Calcio over there with that. I'm going to take our San Antonio Spurs to get out of this Western Conference Finals, especially because they are such big underdogs. We like a dog. We like an underdog. And that's just more fun to root for than the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'll say it. I'm fine saying it. But yeah, use our code FANARCHBASKETBALL 10 when you trade 10. Just a reminder, you're going up against it's peer-to-peer. There's no house. You don't have to worry about, you're not betting against the house, against the man. It's P2P, baby. And then listen, maybe you take that bet and then San Antonio wins tonight. The odds flip aggressively. You can just sell right out of it. You don't even have to stay there. You sell right out of it. So have some fun with Calcio. We appreciate their support of the Celtics Daily and of FanArch, and we appreciate your support by messing around with our codes there. Go mess with the codes. All right, let's get into some of your comments from our most recent video over the weekend. And as a reminder, too, just continue to get into the chat. We love it. We love it in here. Okay, people are saying Bobby Portis for Sam Hauser in a pick. We talked about the Bucks last video, right? Bobby Portis is interesting. He's just a little bit older. I feel like we want someone a little bit younger. Like Chewy in the chat says, Portis and Turner are both on the back 9. Shout out the back 9, and neither will be better than Keita and Garza. Okay, hold on, guys, for real. At some point, I need you guys to look in the mirror and then, like, really review some of the Luka Garza tape. We have to stop doing this. I try to tell you, I mean, look, come on. The Luka Garza thing is nice, but come on. Bobby Portis and Miles Turner would both be more useful than Luka Garza. And I don't like Miles Turner. Okay, James Tolliver said, Brad put the max on Jaylen Brown to eventually trade him for a haul, not for another max player. First of all, I don't think that's why Brad did that, but okay. It's time to allow JT the opportunity to be the man. Of course, you got more talent around him, but that should come from the JB trade. Well, you know what we saw? We saw Bill Simmons mention a deal. I think he was on, I forget who he had on the channel. Maybe it was Joe House. I can't remember. But they talked about a deal with the Pelicans where, like, Jaylen Brown would go to New Orleans for, like, a Trey Murphy and, like, a Zion Williamson. I don't know. I mean, it is kind of nice getting off that money, but I don't know if that's the direction we want to be going. Okay, Antonio Jimenez says, please, we need a new Celtics channel. This one is horrible. Antonio, thank you so much for your comments. It was helpful, but what I would like to do is refer you to therapy. You should go talk to someone. Take your hatred out and find out what's really going on, because it can't be this. Okay, James Tolliver said, you simply got to get a deeper roster, and that's almost impossible with two maxes. Call Danny. Call Danny. He says, I do think people assume Danny Ainge and Austin Ainge are just going to help us out. I think Utah's in a pretty good spot right now where they don't really need our help. So I don't know if they're going to be doing it. I don't know. Okay, JT8 said Celtics should try to get CJ McCollum, Tobias Harris, Zach LaVine, and Walker Kessler. Those are all free agents available. Hell, I would even get Harrison Barnes and Jordan Clarkson. Okay, JT8 is trying to put together the Expendables because no thanks. Tobias Harris, we just saw. Actually, Tobias Harris had a solid series, but he can't be like your number two. I don't know. I'm all set on LaVine too. Walker Kessler, I am very interested in. But that's it. That's it for me, though. Not out of that list. No, thank you. No, thank you. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us for today. It's Monday. We're easing back into the week. Hope you guys have a solid start. We'll be back here tomorrow with some more Celtics slop. Do me a favor, though. Subscribe to that channel before you get on out of here. We'll see you next time.